Welcome to the adventures of Mereak Firmaxe, a character created in 1988 for tabletop role-playing games and later computer games. Thank you for joining me on an adventure today. If you like what you see, don't forget to hit like and subscribe below and leave me a comment. Thank you for joining Mereak Firmaxe as we review the Alpha Sandbox Part 2, Update 2 version 1.2.0.137922. As Mereak plays in the sandbox and reports on what he finds, what he likes, what he doesn't, and any bugs that occurred. So we'll start right off with some fun. Right on the first level, in the Eastern Bastion, of course. Since the first level, just like in the books, runs east to west and connects the East Gate and the West Gate, I start this off with a different perspective on the dragon, which I thought was really cool. Got to see it from this direction this time. And I will say, by the look of that bridge the orcs built, she kind of did us a favor because saved us from having to destroy that thing because it was really shoddy looking. Okay, I'll see you later. Won't be too long. Anyway, also up here is the ranger camp, just as before. So that's interesting. Same brew recipe, the Ironheart Stout. So after exploring the ranger camp, you would normally go up to get to the crypt where Balin is buried, and it's not the same. I did a quick trip up there, looked around, and you cannot get there from here. You will find that later. But notice that the monsters got very difficult on the first floor as you went up very quickly. So if you notice the map, you get to a place if you continue up the Eastern Bastions. It's called the First Mines. Looks like part of the mines of Moria, but it is actually on the second level. So it is above the first level with where we just were. So you didn't have to use the first stair to get there from this direction. Now, I will tell you that if you are playing for the first time and you're not fully geared, you should use the first stair rather than do the way I did. You'll notice when I flip back and forth to the map, the first stair is there. And if you go all the way this direction, you will encounter a much more difficult adversaries. So you can see when I pull up the map a little while later here, the first stair is connected to the second level, which is the recommended way I think you should go. So the first stair goes up to levels 1, 2, and 3. The second stair goes down to the lower levels 1 and 2. It is a non-OSHA compliant death trap, just like all the stairwells, a mixture of rotted stairs and scaffolding, so be careful. Particularly if you have vertigo or anything like that, like I do. You will notice that you will have to find or bridge a way across. Also notice that in the upper left hand corner, it'll tell you where you are. So when the map changes, because not every you proceed down the stairwell, there are landings, and the landings are at various. See, like it just changed various levels, and you may walk past something if you're not being careful, because you'll have to explore the landings. I recommend once you get to a landing, put a stone if you can afford it. So once your stone is placed, I would then continue to restore. Now, I didn't properly name this one, and I described in the last video how the levels are organized. There's stairwells and then there are levels. And they don't always correlate with what's at the top of the stone, so it's actually pretty confusing. Now, I did encounter two pretty tough enemies just as soon as I came through here, but that was in campaign 2. Every once in a while you'd find a room with like one or two enemy, and I do have it set to very hard. I don't know how you get around this. Maybe if you went north on the map instead of to the east, you could have avoided these folks. But it is, and there were only two of them. The Gondorian shield, that was pretty cool. I didn't do much cleanup as I was running through this. I wanted to see if I could get everything, get to the end. Now, once you get to this level, you get to this place called the Spiral Mines. I had never heard of it before, but they named the areas. You can tell them apart. And this one has folks, the goblins and, well, orcs that you would find in the lower deeps as well as in the mines of Moria and above. And I noticed they mix the goblins a little more. Every group of goblins has the weaker ones along with them. So I thought that was interesting. So the next thing I'll show you is a bug. I didn't capture it the first time, but I did this time. I had logged in and out of the game, and when I re-logged in, I was below the world. Now, I had ended the evening after getting killed, and I'm like, alright, I'm going to go to bed. In my previous trip, I was not dead, and so I put a stone down here so I could teleport back. Otherwise, logging in and out did not do anything. Every time I come down here, though, by accident, I gather up the materials that I guess accumulate under the world. If you ever wondered where that stuff that you thought you had went missing to, this is likely where it is. So I hope that devs can fix this. I cannot replicate this at will. Of course, I teleported into a different location than I was, and then I teleported back, and that seemed to take care of it. So as you use the second stair to get to the second deep, you will find very familiar territory. It looks like the bottom of the crystal descent, which was pretty nice. And so I found some cranberries and I marked those, since the cranberry houses do not have cranberries anymore, which I found was odd. I'm not so sure that that's a bug, but if it is, I wanted to report it. Now, down here is the half destroyed house, and this area is exactly like the bottom of the crystal descent, though completely reorganized. And of course, then you'll find the pump house. So the pump house with the watcher in the water, and having to free that to open the Belagos Forge is in the game. Though the Belagos Forge is not in this level, it's in the third deep. And so completing this to open, completing killing the Watcher in the water to open the Belagos Forge is a requirement, and the battle is exactly the same, which I will show here in a moment and fast forward. So I have done an entire video on how to do this, setting up an area, securing it with a stone floor, building a little safe room to repair in, and then going through this solo. Now I have it set to hard mode, and I am practiced at this. I do suggest that you watch the other video. It goes step by step and shows you the best way. A lot of people try to avoid putting down stone like this. That's a huge mistake because the Watcher does damage to the platform you're on, and you hate to go halfway through the battle only to die. So here you see me finishing prep by building a little room out of the best material you have on you, adamant granite. I mean, you can use stone. You leave the door open so you can get in, put your repair, finish putting in the floor down, and you want to make it as big as possible toward the pump house. I don't know why that used to never have a problem building there, but something's weird. Anyway, okay, once the Watcher comes out, you have to have your crossbow ready. And after you shoot each eye, or you miss, you'll get a wave of orcs. And so you shoot the 4 eyes, and the meter at the top goes down by a quarter each time you do an eye, and then they come out. You got to watch your armor. This is a slog, and I do have it set to hard. And I am geared, so you'll notice there I missed. I got one. Alright, one left. Go in there, shut the door. Now they destroyed my my hearth, so I had to put one down. And of course, the last one ends it. So once the battle is done, you clean up a little bit, make yourself over to the pump house, set up a little area to craft with. You're going to need iron bars and of course a forge, because you don't have enough pipes to fix it. And this is no different. Though I will say that the new stairs make life, and the new build system changes make getting this done a lot faster. Now I am going to save, and I have this sped up at double speed here, but I am going to save a little bit at the end to show you a difference, because it is a little confusing. I don't know how that's suspended in the air, but it works, so I left it. So when you get done, you're going to pull the lever, but you're not going to hear anything. It's not going to do anything. I think they should add a visual effect here to let you know that it did its job. You'll actually get to see the water drain out of the Belagost Forge later. So here we're getting into where the Muznakan should be in the flooded deeps. This is the only Muznakan I couldn't find. Now, I'm pretty practiced at finding these. In fact, I've helped a bunch of people find them. I've never encountered a game world of mine that didn't have one. But I have seen 2 others over time that I tried to help other people find and could not find in the old campaign before this update. It just so happens that my seed does not have this. I actually had a couple people join me. There were 3 of us that went through this. Could not find the Muznakan. I have a feeling that it's either someplace else and the icon's in the wrong space, or it's embedded in a wall someplace and there's nowhere to get to it, or below the floor. Very disappointing. It was the only one that I couldn't get to, and I'd really like them to fix this because I completed the game. I don't even remember what the Muznakan is. This is pretty common room for it to be in, by the way. And I would say 50% of the time when people have difficulty finding it, it's here. And it's up on one of these ledges. And you'll see I went through this in depth. I did not record all 3 of us going through it. But it was extremely disappointing that this was the one thing I could not complete in this run through. So another thing you'll find down here, which was a little odd because I would think that this would be up, is Durin's tomb. The tomb is here. What's beyond the tomb is completely different. You can actually get to the tomb on my map from the front door and the back door. And both of it leads to mines. Now, why they would build such a big tomb in the middle of the mines at this level as opposed to someplace grander, I have no idea. But maybe that's lore and I just don't know it. but I was surprised to find it here, and it does not lead you to the stairway. So it's very interesting. Other than the bridge in the end, um, I was never prompted to repair the crystal descent, which I demonstrated earlier is broken uh, and difficult to traverse by parkouring down. Not impossible, but difficult. And the the stairway doesn't exist, so you don't have to spend black diamonds on those two. So that's a benefit because a lot of people had problems getting enough black diamonds to do both of those things. That is no longer a concern. Not to mention with the settings for drop rate, you don't really have to worry about black diamonds. I get them pretty regularly, at least two at a time, by turning that setting all the way up. There was an orc or two in here, which surprised me, just in the by and by. So this is just to demonstrate that when you're done repairing the statues, there is a set that needs stone and a set that need granite. They just stopped giving you anything and not even an indicator, which they fixed during the first patch, and I'd really like to see that indicator back. You don't have to give me anything, but say thank you. Alright, this is the crystal descent. Now you'll notice the stone says crystal descent, but the top says forgotten descent, so they should really decide on what it's called. Those platforms were non-existent for me, and I can't repair it. There was no option to repair. In fact, repairing the crystal descent and repairing the eastern stairs and costing black diamonds doesn't exist anymore. And so I had to literally parkour down. I tried it first with equipment and died, and then I went back and got just rope. You'll see there that there's no platforms. I got just rope and wood, and I put a box up here with a bunch of rope and wood, and I kept coming back and just kept dying again and again and again, taking 20 of each every time until I got down. And the sad part is I could never build any of those. But once you get down to where the spiders are down there, you're good. So let's look at the floors I covered today. The first deep is pretty basic. It's a mix of the mines of Moria and the lower deeps. There's some good mining down here. I covered the highlights of what you'll find. Might I recommend you come into this area from the second stair if you are playing ungeared. If you go in the way that I did, you're going to hit significant opposition, and that would not be optimal. I think you'll have a much more fun time if you come down into the stairs, you get into the mansion halls, and then into the iron and spiral mines and find the things that I showed today. So the second deep is very much the bottom of the crystal descent, and you're going to find that ruined house there that I've demonstrated to build in. It's a nice place to build a place. You're also going to find the pumps that'll help you open up the Belaghost Forge, which is not on this level. It's in the third deep. And that fight is a lot of fun and exactly the same. You'll notice that there are stairs here, so you entered through the second stair. You also find the tombs of Durin down here. And I actually really enjoyed the second deep level. The cavern deeps, the flooded deeps, the King's Mines. There's some good mining down here. This is where you're going to get salt and amber and so on. Okay, so going in the opposite direction, the second level I found incredibly disappointing. There is a small elven area up here. I'd really like them to move the Narvi Forge up here and leave its larger biome. They actually made the second level, which is a level up, by the way, with the 7 up and 7 down, a bunch of mines, which is fine. Some of it is very familiar to the mines of Moria. And so it's not a hard level to get to. You will get here through the first stair. But the elven area is kind of out of place. and I'd like to see them fix that, and I'd also like them to bring back the larger areas that would make more sense to be here and allow us to have build spaces again. So I want everyone to understand that I am not being critical. I'm using these videos to report bugs in my bug reports, and I encourage you all to do that, because the more reports they get that something is going on, particularly the weirdnesses like dropping below the world, the more that they'll pay attention to it. And I've been in this business for over 30 years of writing software, not writing games, but writing software. And I'll tell you that if it's a one-off out of one of a million bug or one of 100,000 bug, it's not going to get the attention if I don't get multiple bug reports on it, making it a much more common occurrence. And I love the changes that they made to the game. Now, I am going to show you some stuff in future videos that's not so nice, and some of the stuff here is certainly disruptive, but they did tell us that it's an alpha, and so that goes a long way to making sure that we all understand of what we're getting into. These worlds, these alpha worlds, are not going to be our main game worlds. It is an alpha. It sets a level of expectation for me, and I hope it does for you as well. Now, I do love the game. I'm not going to joke. I do love the lore. I think the game is getting better. I don't want anyone to think, oh, he's being negative here. I still rate this game a 4.5 out of 5. I think they can get to a 5 out of 5, 6 out of 5 when they're done. Adding back in the biomes that they took out, which likely is because the tiles that they designed don't fit into the automation to connect cleanly with the computer generated maps. But the computer generated maps are really cool. And so finding a way to do that and retooling those larger biomes like the elven biome and Dwaro-Delph and so on, it's going to be huge for us that love building. And I know say that 50% of the game is building, though a lot of people don't like building, but those of us that are really into this survival thing really love the building aspect of the game, and I'm hoping the devs will cater to that. That being said, I hope you have a good day. Thank you for following the adventures of Mereak Firmaxe, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe below, and send me comments and what you'd like to see. There'll be a couple other parts to this series reviewing the update, the alpha update, and I hope that this helps some of you out.